Welcome to the Nitpicking Nerds. Today we're grading some more staples.
This time, green staples.
I'm your host, the unbelievably healthy Joe Cherries.
I'm your host, Sick Beezy, and that makes us the Nitpicking Nerds. Coming at you. Daily content. Go check out the TCG player link in the description. Buy the magic cards you were going to buy anyway. But this time, you get a discount? What?
Yes, and we're doing daily content. If you like the daily content, head over to patreon.com and support us monetarily because this is our full-time gig.
Do you know what happens tomorrow at 11 a.m.?
Well, I think the Kickstarter is launching for our gameplay. Our goal is to raise the money to do the gameplay series that you've all been asking for.
You want the gameplay. We have the gameplay, but only if you can help support the gameplay. So go support the gameplay tomorrow, and then it'll be real. Gameplay.
Beezy, tell them what we're doing today.
We're grading the next 30 most popular EDHREC green Commander staples in a letter grade. So A, auto-include. B, build around. C, cuttable. D, don't bother. And F is forget about it.
Yes. So, more important than the letter grades themselves are what we're going to say about the cards. If we give a card a D and you don't listen to the whole spiel, you might not realize that even though we give it a D, there might be a deck you have that it belongs in.
There's no budget or CDH talk in this video, so you're not going to find that here.
Yes, and more important than anything else, if something gets an F, that doesn't mean it's unplayable. You just need more of a reason to play it. So A's, you need barely any reason to play. F's, you need a big reason to play. And that reason can even be, I like the card. That's a good enough reason.
Pretty much the ultimate reason in Commander. So that's the first one. We'll just get right into it. Veil of Summer. This card is amazing. It's an A-.
It's an A-. It's always in the cantrip and replace itself because it's super unlikely to sit down at the table where there isn't blue or black. That is 40% of the colors. You play with 4 players. It's just so unlikely not to see at least one.
Yeah, and the card is kind of just a giant blowout and protects you from interaction. You can fire this off without drawing a card at the beginning of your turn to start some combo, or if anyone would ever do anything, they can't play around Veil of Summer. That's not a card you can play around in Commander. They're just going to get completely wrecked.
You can just, a spot removal spell that's going for your guy that's blue or black. You just get to blow them out and draw a card that feels amazing every single time. Prevent a counter spell. Anytime you get to draw the card and counter one of their spells, essentially, it's amazing.
Yeah, color-specific hate cards are like almost never good in Commander, especially if it's just one. Because there are odds you're not going to see like blue only, for example. But this is 2 of them, and the floor is a cantrip when they do it.
Yes. I just think it is so unlikely to not see 2 of the 5 colors of Magic when you play a game that it is worth playing this card.
Next is Finale of Devastation. We just straight up gave it an A. It's a tutor, it's graveyard recursion, and it's a win con.
Yes, this card's great overall. And the fact of the matter is, it's a tutor. It is just a tutor for any one of your creatures. And where does it go? Oh, not your hand, straight to the battlefield.
You just have to pay a premium of 2 extra mana, and you get any creature. It's the same rate as Demonic Tutor, but you got to play it this turn.
Yes, but you got to play it this turn. It goes straight to the battlefield. You get ETBs. This card is just very strong. Everyone knows that tutors are great. We don't really have to state that, but the fact that this also doubles as a win con, and it lets you get a card from your graveyard for like that extra bonus, like gravy on top, really just makes this just a great card for any green creature-based deck.
Yeah, and in terms of like counter spells or responses, they don't know what you're going to get until the spell resolves, so they can't really stop it.
Yeah,
unless
exactly.
They want to counter the spell straight up.
Yeah, if you do it for 10, they'll probably counter it.
Right, but if you go like X2, they don't know your deck, they're just not going to counter it, right? I mean,
yeah, they might.
And then, Mass Vandal, you didn't think of that. Sorry.
Yeah. Get rid of your whatever big, stupid, annoying thing you were going to do.
Lightsteel Colossus.
Burr. Got him. Next is 3 visits. It's an A. We don't need to talk about this very much. It's literally the same thing as Nature's Lore. If you want to know what we think about Nature's Lore, go to the first video.
Or listen to the following statement. It's the best 2-mana sorcery speed green ramp.
Okay. That's simple. Next is Rampaging Balos. Gave this a C-. This card is very replaceable. It doesn't do anything extraordinarily well overall. It's fine. And there are decks that you can play this in and you won't really think it's bad. It's gonna feel great when you play it, play a fetch land and get 2 4/4s. But you can just do better at 6 mana overall.
Yeah, this is a card, at least I know I'm just never gonna play. I never go to it. It's just, to me, it's not strong enough for 6 mana. I'm not gonna want that sort of like, if you played it in a deck where you wanted to actively reduce the power level.
Yes.
That's kind of where we're at on it.
Yeah, I play it in my Omnath deck because I want landfall triggers, but also I don't want the deck to be silly and stupid strong.
Like you cut expropriate for it, basically.
Yeah, basically a 1-for-1 trade just to power down the deck. The card's not insane and it's not bad, but it's just nothing you...
It's not great.
It's just not. It's not something you need to play on average.
I would say it's something you almost never need to play, but it's still a C-. Well, if you thought Finale was good, Green Sun Zenith is even better, and it's an A. Still.
Yeah, they're both A's. They're both very good cards. Basically, what you end up trading off here is Green Sun Zenith is 1 less mana, so it's much more effective for... You literally pay 1 less mana for any single creature you want.
It's faster.
It is faster. And on top of that, it gets green creatures. So this turns into a 1-mana ramp spell because of Dryad Arbor, which is a green forest 1/1 Dryad creature.
It costs 0.
Yes. So you pay just the green mana, search your deck, get a Dryad Arbor, and it just turns it... Basically, you're just searching for a mana dork. And that is an upside that Finale just doesn't have because it costs 2, and it's not worth it. It's not worth it to do that at 2 mana. Only worth it on turn 1. But... it is just a huge bonus to Green Sun Zenith.
Plus, it shuffles itself back in.
Yes, also completely fair. That you can do it early, get that, make it a mana dork, and then the next turn just go. Well, I guess I drew it again and get your 2-drop now.
Yeah, now I'll get my Masked Vandal, exile your other Blightsteel Colossus, idiot.
Dang, what game are you playing in? It's like turn 2.
I'm playing a game where my opponents have terrible threats.
They have terrible threats, but they get them out very fast.
They did, but I answered them.
That's good. I'm glad that you got really lucky and top decked your Green Sun Zenith
Twice.
Twice as a 1 in like 91 chance.
Yes.
I'm so proud of you. What's next?
It's Dryad of the Elysian Grove, and we got him sitting at a B+. You need to be landfall or care about the every basic land type that he grants, but once you're there, this card's amazing. It's a B+. It's one of the best cards in your deck.
It's extremely... It fits the B so well. You have to care about the extra land drop. You have to care about making your lands all the colors rainbow. You have to care about pretty much both of those. Usually one's not going to cut it. But when you care about those, this card is just so stellar. It is probably one of the best ways to get an extra land drop. The only one I can think of that might be better is like Oracle of Moldiah, and that card's really good.
Yeah, I actually have this as pretty good in Enchantress decks too because it is an enchantment.
Yeah.
And it gives you extra land drops, which lets you play more enchantments.
Yeah, something about an Enchantress deck is they're really good at turning their wheels, so you're going to draw a ton of extra cards. So if you put this in your Enchantress deck, it'll draw you a card because you have an Enchantress out most likely. And then on top of that, it'll let you play an extra land that you're going to be drawing because you're churning through your deck so fast.
Yeah, I think the Explorations and Burgeonings and Naked Dryad Boys, definitely good in those decks, and a lot of people don't play them.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. Next, we have Ramunap Excavator. I got this at a B-. It's solid, and the effect is good. There's no doubt about that. The reason I got it at B- instead of something like a B or a B+ is that it is very susceptible to board wipes and removal. You can get the same effect on Crucible Worlds, and it avoids the board wipes, which makes that one just a bit better. Maybe not crazy amounts, but overall.
Yeah, it's the best effect on a creature that does it. There's like Ancient Greenward, and I think that card's pretty bad. It's too expensive. Once you get a free roll land off this, it kind of like replaces itself. You can think of it as drawing a card.
Yeah, exactly. Ramunap Excavator does replace stuff extremely quick. It only goes in your decks where you want to be playing lands from your graveyard. You need lots of fetch lands. You need lots of cycling lands.
Landfall.
You need to be making sure that you are going to be taking advantage of this. It doesn't fit in every deck. This is not just an evergreen, throw it in whatever deck you want that has green in it. No, you have to have the fetches. You have to really care about landfall.
Next, Wild Growth. We got this at B+. These cards are really good. And I know it's not even like unknown at this point. It's not like it's underrated. I think people just aren't playing these, but they're also extremely good. Llanowar Elves taps for a green. This taps for a green. It's on a land. Lands are like the social contract, immortal like resource that you have. And it taps for green right away. It costs 0 the turn you play it.
Yeah. The downside of this card so we have it we have it at the same grade as a like Fintorn Elves or a Llanowar Elf, same grade. They have the upside of being enchantments for an Enchantment Matters deck or being able to tap right away. Overall, I think they're definitely worse than the dorks. Not by a large margin, but they're definitely worse because the creature type is just so relevant and such a huge thing to be able to take advantage of in Commander that these are worse, but they're right in the same grade. They're still B+.
Usually in a deck that wants to critical mass play as many creatures as possible, obviously the dorks are going to be better. But in Enchantress decks, these are like 12 times better than a dork, and they do survive board wipes.
Exactly. Next, we have the Great Henge. This is an A, trending toward A+. It's
nuts.
It's so crazy how good this card is. Everything about it just reads so well. when you get to cast it for 2 mana, that it immediately pays you back, it feels like you're cheating. Because not only does it pay it back, it gives you 2 life, and the creature you cast with it draws you a card, and it enters with an extra counter. This card just has so much text, and it is an amazing, amazing card.
It just does everything. I don't even think this is contentious at all. I don't think anyone thinks this is a bad card. I think we can almost just move on. It's amazing.
Amazing, absolutely. And next we have Seneca Research. We got this at D+. This is one I really think you don't have to stretch down toward. I think like Rampaging Balos fits a lot more than this card. I think the real issue with this card is you just can't be setting up at 7 mana. I think that 5 mana Mirari's Wake is already a bit much.
Pushing it.
It's already a bit much. It's already 5 mana setup card, which that's a lot. 7 mana setup card, that's too much. Now, that being said, if you ever untap with this, you're going to always be happy with it.
Yeah, this feels like Brass's Bounty, right? Like, store all my mana for next turn. Except Brass's Bounty, at least you're guaranteed it unless they blow up your treasures. But this is tied into an enchantment. You have 7 mana, you play this, your turn, you did nothing. You pass, you go back to your turn. Then you tap all your mana for a double, but you just had that mana last turn and you used it on nothing. So you're not getting any advantage until the next turn.
Well, that's not true.
The advantage is in the cards you draw. But then you're on like 7 mana, net advantage nothing, but I drew 2 cards.
No, I mean, it definitely... so I disagree with you on like the way you put that. I don't think it's as bad as you make it sound. It isn't great. And the trouble is not tapping with it. But I would say if you're in a meta where you can reliably untap with it, this card is great. I'd play it every single time. If I knew this card was going to untap every single time, I'd play it. But the fact is, you get mana advantage so hard by like a Nature's Claim. Even a Crossing Grip gets you a ton of card advantage against this. And that's the issue, is that you're going to lose so much tempo and advantage as soon as this gets destroyed without getting it. And that's the tough part.
I just think it's too slow. I mean, even untapping with this once, you're really not cheesing the system at all. Next is Explosive Veggies. This is just an F, only because there's like literally a dozen cards better. So I just kind of want to move on.
It's outclassed. I want to mention really quickly, this has nothing to do with the effect being bad. If you play Explosive Veggies, it's still going to perform for you perfectly fine. The fact is, it's outclassed by 7, 8 different cards at this point. You just never have to reach down to it.
It's passable, but it's playable nowhere because even if your budget is 15 cents, there's 5 better cards.
Migration Path, for one example quickly.
Circuitous Route, for another example, just a little bit slower.
Yes. Next, we have Schematic Relation. Got it at B-. This might be trending towards C+. Maybe it's a B-. It's a tough one to judge. It is kind of similar to a card that we're going to go over later, but instead of going tall, you want to go wide. So for every creature you have, you're going to be able to draw a card, and then you'll gain some life. That's just gravy. You're not worried about that.
I think you want to hit at least 4 cards before you feel like, at 3, this is really whatever. At 4, you're like, okay, kind of getting there, but 5+, you feel like this is great. This is fantastic. It's one of the best draws in your deck.
Yeah, I think the toughest thing about a card like this that really makes it tough is you have to have the creatures on board, and it can't just be like one specific creature. You have to go wide. So when a board wipe happens and you end up drawing this, it feels really rough, and that's the kind of position these cards can put you in. Is it bad? No, not by any means. This card's ceiling is incredible. It can draw you upwards of like 7, 8, 9 cards sometimes.
Its ceiling is through the roof, actually.
No, that's not a saying.
And it's my saying.
I heard it somewhere else. I don't know.
Really?
I literally heard somebody say the ceiling is through the roof on Twitter.
They probably got it from me.
Maybe.
They should contact me and we can talk about payment.
That is not a real saying, so they must have stolen it.
Oh, it is. Spring Bloom Druid. Another one of like this suite of super efficient meta, like Wood Elf effects. I just call them Wood Elves. It enters, you get 2 landfalls, and it like harrows, but they enter tapped. So it mana fixes, and it's just a great card. It's a C+. You need to be in a deck that cares about creatures, because then once you have that, you switch out your cultivates for this, and boom, you're in heaven.
Yeah, you have to care about creatures, and you have to care about landfall. This starts to get a little deep down on, because if you're caring about creatures, you have all your dorks, you have your Wood Elves, which is better, and there's a bunch of other cards. And this is a little far down the list, and that's why I have it at C+. It's still a good card, and the fact of the matter is this is one where if you put it in your deck, it can play better, and it will feel great a lot of the time.
It's definitely better than like Farhaven Elf. If you're wondering about that comparison, this is way better.
Yeah, I mean, definitely much better than Farhaven Elf. Next, Rishkar's Expertise. Got this at B. This card's very good. The ceiling is through the roof with this one. If you have a big creature, you're going to be able to draw. When you want to cast this is when you have 2 big creatures.
So what's the size, though?
I'm looking for 5 or a 6 drop on the field.
So it's kind of like the same thing with Schematic. You want to draw 5.
Yeah, you want to draw 5 or 6 with this. I think one of the great things about this is it gives you another spell for free after drawing your spells.
After the draw. So sweet.
So you get to play the best 5 or less spell from your hand after whatever amount of cards you drew.
Honestly, when this card is bad, it is much better than when Schematic Revelation is bad. I've cast this as a divination because it finds you 2 more spells and then pays back almost all of the cost you just spent. So you can cast some other 5 drop and not feel too bad.
Exactly, yeah. When this card's usually not even too bad because, again, you're playing it in decks where it's going to be good. You got to it obviously needs synergy. You can't just throw this in an elf ball deck and expect it to be great. You throw it in the deck where it's like, oh, my commander has 7 power already.
Ghalta.
If I can draw, and then there's the decks where Ghalta, where the ceiling is actually ridiculous because not only is it going to be a draw 12, it's probably going to put you in a position to win the game from there.
Yeah, that's not even fair. That's just like a 2-card win, basically.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to lose when you draw 1/10 of your deck.
You draw 12 cards and you get to cast one of them for free.
Is that good? Definitely good.
It is when you build around it. How about Lotus Cobra?
It's a B. It's all about build. This card is literally all about building around it as well. If you have lots of fetch lands, you have lots of landfall, you're playing multiple lands a turn, this card pays itself back the first turn it's out with a fetch land.
Yeah, I couldn't say that better myself. Is it just me or is this second batch of green cards like better than the first one? I can't remember exactly what the grades were, but these are all like really good grades.
It's really tough to remember. These cards are very good. I think that a lot of them were good, but I think we had a few stinkers in the first one. But we also had explosive Veggies sitting down here.
We do have Veggies. Carp of Flowers is next. This is probably the most contentious one on here. We got it at C- because guess what? We're not playing CDH, so we cannot guarantee that somebody's playing blue, and you still can't guarantee that somebody's playing islands. It's like 2 hoops.
I really don't like this card, and I know I'm probably in the minority, and that maybe I'm a little too harsh on it. I'm not even going to deny that maybe I'm too harsh on this card. I hate the idea of having a dead card in my deck at any point. If I sit down at the wrong table, suddenly this is a dead card. No, thank you. I'm just not interested in that. The difference between a card that targets 1 color and a card that targets 2 colors is enormous.
Yeah, and there's cards like Reap and Compost. I think they're very similar. So you're kind of on one side of the fence with would I play those cards or would I not play those cards. Joe's more on the I won't play them side than me. I think Carp of Flowers, it's really good when you always get a card out of it. So like enchantment decks, I'm slamming this. Cantrip, and now I don't care what happens. If I get 5 mana every turn, amazing. I'm going to win the game. Otherwise, I replaced itself.
And that's fair. That's also completely fair to play. I've also never had a deck where I was even interested in trying this also.
Yeah, that's true.
Next, we have Exploration. This is such a simple B. If you want extra, you just need you want extra land drops, or there's one other deck that wants these high card velocity decks.
Enchantress decks.
Enchantress. I mean, those are high card velocity decks also.
Agreed.
But anything where you're going to be churning through a ton of cards, playing an extra land is just going to be chef's kiss.
Yeah, when you find, oh man, I always have these 13 cards in my hand. I have to go to cleanup. Well, stuff like this, it doesn't like, it looks like it's card disadvantage or it's not going to be that much. But in your Simic like AC decks or decks that maybe don't care about lands specifically, but you're slinging spells, you're slinging cards, you need more lands to play more spells.
Yes, agreed. Next is Doubling Season. This one might be a point of contention for a lot of our fans too.
Probably. Everything is a point of contention for everybody.
It's a B-. I know. But you can replace this with foreign collects nowadays, and we have Deep Close Gate also. I just don't think this card is as irreplaceable as once thought. And it's tough for me. The thing that it does so well is it does tokens and it does counters. You got to care about both of those. And caring about both of those is just not something a lot of decks do.
Caring about both is pretty niche. And I think for the counter side, I'm just not playing this. I have played enough without this and with it that I'd rather have like Hardened Scales. And then there's the other 3 mana. I'm blanking on it now, but it's a jumpstart card. It does the same thing, but it's 3 mana.
That's Branching Evolution.
Yeah.
Yes. Last thing about the Doubling Season before we move on is just BC's talking about +1/+1 counters.
Yes.
But obviously it is a staple and a must-have for your loyalty Planeswalker decks. Obviously, don't take it out of that deck. It belongs there all day.
Right. And even there, I will say, it's just a little clunky to have to play Doubling Season first. That's just a complaint on the combo.
Yeah, I mean, still very strong.
Right.
Next, Regrowth. This is the most average card ever, just skating down the middle of the road. See, I don't think this is a card that I have at C and that I do think is fine and strong that I will never touch.
Yeah, the floor is pretty high. it'll always get your best card back. It's like a tutor from your graveyard. Nobody's interested in that, it turns out, especially with Eternal Witness existing and Battlegate Recovery being 10 times better.
We've talked about how important the creature type is. That's amazing. And the fact is, if you can get a land on the other side, that even for 1 more mana,
no contest.
That it's not even close. Battlegate Recovery is just absolutely amazing. I will play it in every single green deck I make. Regrowth, I don't know, maybe if I'm building a spell slinging green deck.
Temur Storm, maybe.
Yeesh, who's building that?
And then Izzet has so many better ways to get spells back.
Yep. Next, we have Growing Rites of Itlimoc B+. You just have to have a large creature count, and that's it. And once you meet that large creature count, this flips in the Gaia's Cradle on the back side.
It cantrips on the front side. It actually gives you card selection. You find a creature you can pick among multiples.
The one thing that makes me a little sad about this, and it's not the card itself, is there's no place to reprint this card, and it just keeps going up and up and up. And it's $1 million card. Card is very good, and it belongs in a lot of decks, but it's just getting so pricey.
Yeah, I don't think they like doing flip cards in Commander Precons. So where's this supposed to go?
Yeah, exactly. We need a reprint of this card ASAP. Don't know where. Maybe give us, what are they called? What's the thing where...
the list?
They
Secret Lair?
No, Secret Lair, yeah, where they ship them to you. That was what I was going to say.
Yeah, the Growing Rites of Itlimoc is fantastic. Just play a high density of creatures, and boom, this is in your deck.
Yes. Next, Azusa, Lost But Seeking. B. This gets the same exact grade as Exploration.
Do you remember Exploration, Naked Dry Boy, Lotus Cobra, and all those cards?
Yeah, they're all fit in the same exact deck, and they're all great. This one's more killable, but it gives you 2 extra land drops, which is nice.
Yeah, Farhaven Elf, we'll go to him next. D+. I just said this is like the worst way to get your 3 mana creature. I could probably just name like 20 cards better than this. You got your Elvish Rejuvenators and your Wood Elves and your Springbloom Druids at least. Sakura Tri-Belter blows us out of the water. Mana Dorks are probably better in general. You just never have to play this. This is like the explosive vegetation of 3 mana land fetchers.
You've already spent way more time than I ever would have.
I'm sorry.
Next, we have Wilderness Reclamation. I gave it a D. I'm not a big fan of this card overall. I can see how it'll perform. It performed pretty good in a flash deck. And if you're not in a flash deck, I don't think you want to touch this.
I already spent way too much time on this. Noxious Revival, C-. It's like right up there with Regrowth, honestly. I could play it. I'm just not going to. I'm not a CDH deck. I don't need to play this. I'm not like, it's not part of a combo or anything. It's just kind of filler.
I put it at C- for BZ. I'd have it more in a D range for me. I don't like this card, and I don't think you have to touch it ever. I don't like card disadvantage in EDH, and this is a card disadvantage spell that can be countered by certain things. If they have a Scavenging Ooze in the battlefield, this card doesn't function.
Yeah, it's a weird one. Obviously, the same is true for Regrowth, and we didn't really knock Regrowth for that.
I mean, that's true, but it's the fact that on top, this card, Regrowth is getting you card advantage. And
right.
This is losing you a card to make your best draw. And the fact that they can get blown out from that point makes it that much worse for me.
Yeah, it can be responded to, but it's a 0 mana instant. That's probably like, if you need a 0 mana instant and you have some crucial card, I think I'd play this card. You just got to be in a weird corner case if you're not playing CDH.
Next is Return to Nature, D-. These cards just aren't that good. On a budget, maybe. Other than that, stay away.
It's solid on a budget. It's just like, when do you have to ever go to this?
Exactly. Court of Calling is the next one. It's an A. It's all the same things we've said about Green Sun Zenith and Finale. But now we add in the fact that we have Convoke, which makes us awesome. And this one's an instant. So all of that is what keeps this at the same exact grade as the other ones.
Yeah, you just need... I guess for all of them, you need some amount of toolbox density of creatures, but I think the fact that they're so freaking good changes them from what they would be like a B+ into just NA. They're like irreplaceable. You need these in your toolbox decks.
They are literally not replaceable in your toolbox decks. Those 3, if you don't touch those 3, you're going to be struggling for those.
Actually, hold on. That's why they're a toolbox deck. If you just play a bunch of different creatures, you're not toolboxing anything. This is what finds them that actually makes it a toolbox.
Yeah, you need something to go find the tools. If you're just a toolbox deck that can't search for your creatures, then you're not a toolbox.
There's no hand reaching into the toolbox. That's what Court of Calling is.
Yeah, exactly. What's next?
Oh, look, it's a budget doubling season. It's Evolution Sage. We got this one sitting at C+. Yet another card that does what doubling season does. Pretty similarly, it's Landfall Proliferate. This can do some nuts things. You just have to be in the deck, and I think this is a slam dunk.
Yeah, this card's fine. I'm not a big fan of it. I think it's okay. I've not built the counters deck that wants it yet, but I could see there being counters deck that do want it.
I think it's actually pretty good. Every time I played it, it feels more like a B. I could see C+, but it feels like one of the best effects in a deck. I'm already considering, and I know a lot of people play, Contagion Engine, just because I want proliferates, it says that twice. Play a fetch land, and you now have 0 mana to proliferate twice. Like, that's just so hard to get.
It is 3 mana, though.
Well, you're 3 mana guy, but then you have 0 proliferate. It's not 6 and then 4 to get your 2 proliferate. That's ridiculous.
You don't have to put extra mana into proliferate. I understand what you're saying. Next, we have Beastmaster's Ascension. I give this a C+. And I have not played with this card. And every time I see it, though, it's always a lot better than I think it is. I always think this is like, don't touch it, don't go near it. But it's so easy to trigger. And +5/+5 is just a lot. And for 3 mana, I think this card probably has more homes than I'm used to. And it might even be better than C+, might be worse. But I do think this card is worth trying.
It's a glass cannon. It's on the board, so it's a little weird. I think the fact that it's so easy to get, and the fact that you could play it before you play creatures, or you could play it after, and it kind of functions similarly either way, makes this a reasonable overrun effect. It does not give trample, though. That's probably the worst part.
It is. The thing I really like about this, and what I think this actually helps a lot, you never have to expose it on the battlefield. You can wait until you have those 7 attackers, because in the decks where you want to play this, that's how you want to play it. You want to be able to make your attackers go wide, maybe cast a March of the Multitudes at the end of a turn. Suddenly you're untapping with 20 some odd guys. Now you play this in attack and they're all just buffed up.
It's a really good effect. I think maybe you should try it if you're not so sure about it. What would you say would be the best possible version of that effect?
Well, the best possible version, the A+ version of this, it's Creator of Behemoth. There is no replacing this card, and every replacement is points. So many points worse that it's not even close. That's why this gets an A+, because there are replacements. Every one of your replacements, basically what they say, Creator says, play it, kill every player. The replacements say, kill 1 or 2 players, maybe.
Right. The next best one, I think, honestly, is like Overwhelming Stampede in terms of how much damage you get. This is literally like hundreds of damage. It's a joke. 12 creatures, 144 power you get.
I mean, yeah, it's unbeatable. And it gives trample. It has haste itself. This card is absolutely bonkers. That's all there is to it.
It is the best. And I'm stunned. I think it has to be budget because I'm stunned that it's so low on the top, but it must be budget related.
What is this card? $40? It is pretty expensive.
It might even be more than that.
It's an expensive Magic card. Next and last, actually, we have Lifecrafter's Bestiary.
Oh, it's actually Lifecrafter's Bestiary on the script.
No, Lifecrafter's Bestiary. I know how to say the card. I didn't write Crafter. Lifecrafter's Bestiary. I don't want to spend much time on this. The main reason that this one isn't playable is you have to pay the 1 mana to draw. We have Guardian Project, we have Beast Whisperer, we have the Great Henge, and there's other effects like that. You just don't have to put extra mana into it after deploying it that are better.
Honestly, when Aether Without Revolt came out, I was like, this card's great. It was good, but it just got knocked down so many pegs, and it's like, well, now I don't really need to go to it.
Exactly. It's just not necessary to go to. Still going to perform fine for you if you play it. But that is our video. Special shout-outs to all of our patrons. We love every one of you, each and every one of you, as much as we can, without making you uncomfortable.
I'd like to think the only reason I got over this cult in the first place was because we have so many patrons. And I think to myself sometimes, if we just had a few more, I could get over this cult even faster.
Is that what you think?
Yeah, I also think that you can go to the
TCG
player link in the description to buy cards you were going to buy anyway. Let's not fool ourselves. And then you get a kickback on the order to go to us for buying the cards. You spend no extra money, and we get to live our dream.
You get a kickback on the order. That goes to us.
That goes to us because I misspoke.
Yep. There's also a Discord where you can come and hang out with us. We just entered today. It was pretty fun.
Yes, and in case you skipped the intro to the video, Kickstarter launches tomorrow at 11. Be there with your wallet or be square because it's time to do gameplay. No more messing around.
Tuesday, August 17th, launching that Kickstarter. If you're past that date, you're watching this a couple days from now.
It's still live. Go back.
Click the link in the description below and go to the Kickstarter, please. We need your help.
It is not going to be live for very long. We have a 35-day window.
We can't do this without you.
No. So please, help us.
Tip it about your life, BZ?
That was it. That's all I'm thinking about right now.
That's not true. Tell us anything else.
I've been sick, and actually during this video, my ear popped, and I feel a little bit better. Okay. So I was pretty stoked about that.
Yeah, good for BZ.
How did you guys like John Jones, my replacement? Everybody astutely noticed that I was not here for one episode.
Yeah, they noticed BZ was a lot shorter, and he had a different haircut, and he was wearing glasses. It was
you guys.
It was every other comment. And I'm not even joking.
Go check that video.
It might have been 50% of the comments where BZ looks different.
I think it was more. I don't think anyone was like, yeah, those reports look great. Can't wait to pick up those cards after they rotate.
Yeah, well, we'll be doing that follow-up video this Friday.
Probably with me.
Probably with BZ, as long as he's not dying. Peace out, Tribe Scout.